Hello. So I'll preface this that I find it interesting that he picked probably the woman who knows the least about technology and computers. I'm a woman who's on her iPhone 16, not because I love iPhone, but because she keeps losing her iPhone every time she travels and needs to replace it. I'm the same woman, and my partner will attest to it, who not even 2 weeks ago asked him how to turn on my iPhone after it shut down. So I'm going to preface that. I'm also going to preface with the fact that he gave me this brief all of about 48 hours ago. So I did what any woman would do. I started by naming my project. I got jealous with Ben AI. I decided I was going to call mine Honeybee. I would have used Bumblebee, except that I was afraid the Transformers would come after me. So with that in mind, it is not a mature project, nor do I think most of these AI projects have come to their full maturity and potential yet. I think the idea of a pre-consultation is very intuitive. Those who have had to deal with US healthcare have seen it, whether physicians or patients actually directly can input their data into an electronic form, whether it's pathology, radiation, radiology, MD notes, etc. The goal is obviously to streamline, right? Whether it is an internal referral, an external referral, we want all the important information to be collated into a nice little digestible format that we can see with our mandate of seeing X amount of patients a day. We want to be able to synthesize that data so that we don't miss anything important. And obviously, these are the pilot sites that have been identified. The MUHC, he named it Jewish because I do work at the Jewish General Hospital, so it would be a bit funny if I piloted a project without my own site involved. And in terms of capabilities, you can imagine it's infinite, right? When you kind of think about it, whether or not if you have an intake nurse talking to a patient and translating that and synthesizing that, and we are actually already doing that, for instance, in some tumor boards, in some medical notes. I know in certain offices they have AI kind of listening to them speak to the patients and kind of spewing out a ready-made document afterwards. And of course, that is very interesting because then you don't have to sit down and write your note afterwards. It will be in every single language on this planet Earth. The pre-screening program, Dr. Diorio already addressed that, so I won't address that. Annotation, post-visit follow-ups. And again, I think what struck me with Dr. Tsui's project was the dead time, 2.4 time of downtime. That is a never seen before. Even if I'm in clinic and I'm ready to see the patient, I'm not ready to start chemotherapy within 2.5 days. That's a never before seen delay. So very similarly, if we can cut down the time between a referral and then being able to see a physician simply because the physician doesn't have to triage about 100-page of faxed, ill-printed document, I think that has enormous value for patients. This is the timeline. These are all pilot projects, so again, I'm not going to bore you with the details. We're going to roll it out next year. I better get to work, Jamil. Thank you. And obviously, the expected impact is for the patients, for the physicians, and reduce administrative load. Now, as I said, this is not a mature project. It is a 48-hour, in my mind, project, and it's called Honeybee. So I had time to think a little bit about it, though. I did actually think about it. And I thought, from a perspective of someone who's not married to technology, actually, if I could throw my phone away, I would. And then I would get very angry emails and calls, and I was told I would get a bad signal if I didn't answer my pages more regularly by my division chief. AI is not new. Technology is not new, okay? Since even before ChatGPT became ChatGPT as we know it, there has been many models of AI being rolled out in several centers. The ones that are more easily accessible and visible are the ones from the US, but I know for a fact from some of my colleagues who've done speaker tours in Asia, they already have AI integrated into their tumor board, where the patient would come with a stack of documents. It would kind of go into this machine that looks like it's, a laundering money machine. They just kind of scan all the papers, and then it literally spews out on screen with the whole physician group there, a summary with the relevant pathology and even guideline-based recommendations. So it is there. It is possible. It's already been kind of rolled out in a non-universal way across the world. I would argue we even tried to introduce it in Quebec. Who has heard about Click Santé? And again, I'm going to put a bit of my cynical side on, right? $17 million, Click Santé. Where does that lead us? Into private care. Everyone assumes it's only private doctor care. It's also a lot of private nursing and private pharmacy care. They were not happy in La Presse. And furthermore, the same company that got Click Santé, they also have another $77 million in public contracts for this Click Santé. And I just want a quick raise of hands. You can do like this so that it doesn't appear on the camera. Who has actually used Click Santé? Right. Who has been satisfied with where they were directed, Click Santé? Right. So again, the technology is there, okay? I'm not disputing that. However, technology has brought on, and it has always promised us, a better future. Less administrative load, a more efficient model of care, better patient care. And yet, the statistics tell us differently, okay? This is, again, from the US. They like to publish things, whether it's good or bad, okay? But this is from Pennsylvania. The black line you can see there, as you can imagine, that's the administrative burden, hires. The gray columns that you see on the right-hand side, that's the amount of patients. That's the amount of beds available in the hospital. So while the cost of administration is going up, the amount of patients being treated is going down, and this is exactly, when is it? 1999, 91 to 2020. Okay, I'm a millennial, okay? I remember a time when dial-up was a thing, and also I remember now a time where dial-up is no longer a thing and everyone has cell phones. And so the 2000s came on with the promise that technology would make things better, more streamlined, more free time, less administrative work, and yet this money shows us differently. Even compared to the VA versus private healthcare, you can say, well, this is the US, it's private, right? They have about 10 bajillion insurance companies. Of course, they'll have a high administrative burden, right? Okay, let's look at the VA. VA, universal kind of healthcare, about the closest model that the US would have to what we have. Yes, they have a few less, 22.5% less, 22.5 administrative employment versus 29%. You say, well, that's not a huge difference. But that 7%, and this is in JAMA open network, this is freely available. You don't even need access via your McGill. That translates to nearly 900,000 jobs. Now, I want you to imagine, forget AI 2 seconds, 900,000 jobs, 900,000 more nurses, 900,000 more PABs. Imagine what difference that would bring into our healthcare for a 7% difference. And as I said, that's just between private and public healthcare in the US. So my kind of reflection about all of this, and I love new toys, I really do. I'm just really bad at using them, but I love new toys, okay? Automation, AI, technology must replace bureaucracy. It must not add to it, okay? It promises efficiency, but I feel like I've heard this kind of message before. So this is my message of caution. And again, I'm sorry, I did not really get a brief on this talk, so now I feel like I'm kind of a downer here. This is Aldous Huxley, Le Meilleur des Mondes. I don't remember the title in English because I read it in French, I apologize. But he's a British-born American author who had a lot of questions regarding science and humanity. And I think, I think this has come up over and over and over again in the past century. And we do have really bad history with technology and health. Anybody can guess what this is? All right, can. That made the news. That was $60 million, and that's what they managed to disclose to us. DSQ. In the audit, it said $1.5 billion. My DSQ has stopped working about 10 times. I'm on DSQ 10. It's going to soon beat out my iPhone. And this is superficial stuff, but what about we talk our true medical errors with technology? This is thalidomide for those who didn't know it. We still use it a little bit in multiple myeloma, cause birth defects. Any guess who this guy is? Did he win the Oscars? Big movie, Oppenheimer, Manhattan Project. So when I look back, and this is again with my hat of somebody who is not married to the idea of technology, it's easy to be cynical about it. Okay, it's very easy to be cynical. It's very easy to highlight our past mistakes and to see this AI coming in and being scared of it. But when I look back, for those who don't know, Jamil is my mentor. He is the reason I am here today doing what I do. Frankly, I didn't really like medicine before I met Jamil. Maybe I shouldn't admit that on public forum, but I really didn't like medicine, okay? I was like, I wanted to be an architect, I wanted to be an artist, I wanted to be about everything under the sun besides a doctor, let alone a medical oncologist. And sometimes you meet these key people in life that change your view. And you can listen to the media, you can listen to what's happening in the world, and it's really easy to be cynical. History tells us we should be. But then I look around, right? And who are we around this room? There's me, there's a clinician. I dabble in research. There's scientists in the room. There's professors, there's students, there's pharmaceutical companies, there's politicians, and we're all sitting here, joined with this common goal of trying to provide a better care in a broken world. So that's me, and that's Bumblebee. No, it's not Bumblebee, sorry, Transformers. Honeybee, coming to you.